Unilever opened a 670 million rand dry food plant at Riverhorse Valley in Durban named Indonsa. The plant has been endorsed by the Minister of Trade and Industry, Davies, as one of the largest private investments in South Africa since the 2010 World Cup. The Indonsa plant is in its startup phase and will be in full production by the first quarter of next year. Samantha caught up with Pier-Luigi Sigismondi, who's Chief Supply Chain Officer at Unilever.
There is obviously a big climate change situation that is happening around the world, but we're working very proactively to reduce our environmental impact as we double the size of our business. So we can see consumers being much more committed and aware of what multinationals are doing for the environment, and we believe to be in the forefront in that journey.
Give us an idea of what the sustainability journey entails and the type of targets that you've set yourself with regards to reducing your carbon footprint.
Well, let me give you an example of this investment here in South Africa. We're talking about a site which is one of the biggest in the world. It's actually reducing the carbon footprint by about 60%, 50 to 60% in the next few years. It's actually halving the amount of waste that is actually generating with no impact to the land. So there will be no waste in the landfill, and at the same time will be water neutral. So these are a lot of opportunities that we're driving proactively as an industry leader, which are now being redeployed across the whole Africa and the rest of the world.
So energy usage, which of course is key in South Africa and the world globally, as fossil fuels and those become more expensive. You've got the aspect of lighting also, which you're addressing here, zero land wasteful, and many other aspects of the factory. Does this set the tone for the company going forward in terms of what you're likely to start doing with other factories around the world?
Yes, actually this investment represents a leading edge move for us to drive carbon footprint down as we grow the volume of our business. In terms of energy consumption, again, about 50% reduction from the average of our factories around the world. So leading edge technology here. Water consumption completely neutral, so we can even in days of drought distribute and help the communities around this factory to actually have water as well. And then no impact in terms of waste to the land. So I believe this is leading edge and second to none.
It cost you, of course, 670 million rand to build. It's one of the largest private investments that we've seen since the World Cup, one of the biggest private investments we've seen in the agro-processing sector in South Africa. What type of savings are you getting from the reduction in energy usage? Have you calculated that on a, say, a per annum basis?
Yeah, we are becoming much more cost competitive. Actually, the paradigm that we're setting here is reduction of the environmental impact and at the same time opportunities to be much more cost competitive. And this is exactly the case here. Our business is the leading edge in South Africa. We are the #1 in terms of market share. And we believe that this investment will allow us to invest even more as we grow and double the size of our operation here. So absolutely cost competitive as well.
When we're talking about scale, what type of products are we seeing produced at this factory and on what scale? Can you just give us an idea?
It's about 65,000 tons of products of great brands like Knorr, like Norox, like Robertsons, which are now being exported around Africa and even outside Africa for Europe as well. So core brands for Unilever, very strategic category for the business, and much more to come.
Of course, you mentioned Africa, and one can't ignore the growth prospects that we see on the continent as the developed world has all the problems it's facing at this point in time. Was the decision to build a factory in South Africa a key strategic one for Unilever?
Very strategic. It's South Africa. It's a developing and emerging market. It's growing, and we are very committed here since 100 years, and we'll continue to do so. We're investing about 500 million euros for the next 5 years, which shows the commitment that we have for the country, and the equivalent amount of money also for the rest of the continent. So Unilever is absolutely committed to Africa. It's one of the growth drivers of our business, and we'll keep investing quite significantly for growth.
You talk about being one of the growth drivers for your business. Currently, what percentage of revenues comes from the African continent, and do you have any targets there? And just give us an idea of your approach to growing your presence in Africa.
The percentage of our business in Africa is still very, it's relevant, but not as it is for Europe and also all the other developed economies that we have right now. Developing and emerging markets represents about 53% of our business around the world. And South Africa and Africa as such, it's one of the biggest growth drivers that we have. In the next 5 years, I personally believe that 75% of our business will come from these emerging economies. And South Africa is absolutely at the core of that growth strategy that we have.
I was talking to another company that is a more consumer goods company, and they were also saying that their approach has been to Africa has had to entail quite a lot of tweaking to their products. They've had to do a lot of market research. Is that the same kind of story that we're seeing for Unilever? Have you had to change your product lines and change your offering for consumers on the continent?
This investment actually brings with it an R&D center as well for our savory business and also for our home and personal care business. So we're investing in R&D in South Africa, and we believe food is very local. It's linked to traditions, culture, and we want to respect that and delight our consumers every day. So we adapt our products to what consumers really expect, and we actually drive our business agenda along the lines of R&D, support in marketing and product development, which is based here for Africa as well.
When we're talking about the supply chain, you're of course a Chief Supply Chain Officer for Unilever. Give us an idea of what you're doing to ensure that your supply chain is also greened along the way, because of that of course is key. The environmental footprint of the entire supply chain needs to be taken into account.
Absolutely. So 20% of the raw materials that we source from agricultural sources is actually from sustainable sources of supply. And our commitment by 2020 is to have 100% of our raw materials actually sustainably sourced. So we are committed with the Unilever Sustainable Living Plan to achieve that very bold ambition. So just to give you an example, on pulp and paper, we source about 55% of our raw materials already from certified sustainable sources. Palm oil is about 60% and more, and we are committed by 2015 to source 100% of our palm oil from sustainable certified sources. The same thing is for vegetables and fruits. About 25–30% of our tea is actually sourced from sustainable certified sources of supply. So our commitment from a supply chain perspective is to have 100% of the raw materials being sustainably sourced by 2020. And along those lines also reduce the environmental impact of our factories, our distribution systems, but even more, go beyond that, our own operation, and also influence the impact and the use that consumers have with our products, so we can have them using less water, less energy, and have a much more sustainable world. That's the most important driver for our growth agenda, is our business model.